Hi, and welcome back to day 12 of your journey to elevate your relationship. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you being back. Today's tool is even more powerful than yesterday's tool. If you were here yesterday, I told you we were going to introduce 2 communication tools that truly will enrich your relationship in every conversation you ever have. Today's tool is Communicate with Love. And love in this case is an acronym. We'll get to that in just a moment. I've studied communication for at least 20 years, and I've had some great teachers along the way. One of these teachers and dear friends taught me the tool that we have today. And part of this tool is discovering the common listening mistakes that we all use. Some we use more often than others. Some we may not use, but we all use some of these listening mistakes in our conversations. Just to point out a few, if we were to point all of them out, we'd be here for several days, and that would be a whole different program. One of the most common listening mistakes is rehearsing. Rehearsing is when someone is trying to tell you something and you're focused on what you're going to say next, on how you respond. What happens is that person feels unheard, and we miss a vital part sometimes of their, what they're sending us, what they're telling us. And then our response oftentimes is not even on topic anymore. So rehearsing is one. Being right is one. It's forcing your opinion on them even though they have a differing one. Counterattacking is one. One of the most common ones that we see nowadays is what I call the high-tech snub. That's when someone is talking and someone else is texting or tuned into the TV or answering emails. In all of these things, no matter how good a listener you are, the person sending you information feels unheard. And in all honesty, if you're practicing one of these common listening mistakes, you're not hearing the whole conversation. So instead of practicing those, what I suggest is use today's tool, Communicate with Love. Now, love here stands for listen openly, validate equally. Let's talk about the first part first. Listen openly. In order to listen openly, we listen without adding anything to it. We just listen to the words that are coming across. We tune in to the words, the tone of voice, the body language. Those are the 3 areas that make up effective communication. So we tune into that. We truly hear what's being said. We do not add our interpretation of what's being said. We do not judge what's being said. We don't counterattack by telling them they're wrong. We don't try to make them see it a different way. We simply listen. So you listen openly. The second part of this is validate equally. This helps us to listen openly because it allows us an opportunity to hear more clearly. When we validate equally, we basically state back to them what we just heard. I have a great little game that I teach in just about every one of my seminars. It's called Do You Mean? And what you would do is after someone sends you information, you basically just say, do you mean? And then repeat back in your own words what you just heard. Now, if you're in a lengthy conversation with someone, find different ways to say, do you mean? Because that will get a little aggravating and they'll think it is a game. But do you mean, and then repeat back what you just heard, will allow them to correct anything that you might have missed a little bit on. If they do not correct anything, you've either gotten it right or they're afraid to correct you. If you feel that there's something there that you're not quite clear on, ask for clarification. In asking questions about what you just heard, the other person feels heard. They feel empowered. You've just enriched your relationship with that person. So if this is with your partner, you are enriching your entire relationship. It's absolutely wonderful. So communicate with the intent to understand. Oftentimes we communicate with the intent to be right, or we communicate with the intent to be heard. While it's important that you be heard, that you be understood, communicate with the intent to understand and be understood. Not so much heard, not so much being right. In doing this, you open that communication. You're listening openly, you're validating equally, you are elevating your relationship. So practice this. Communicate with love. Listen openly, validate equally. Have a great day, and I'll see you here tomorrow.